Hi everyone, today is December 26, 2020, and this is the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My name is Green Ranger. This is the last episode of 2020. So, a lot of news has come out, different events going on. First off, we have emergency nerfs emergency nerf and some random skill changes that'll be active in January. That was just announced this morning. Different events going on this week. Mission Research. That's like a reskinning of an old event, but we got a new card from that event. Duelist Chronicles 5Ds, Attack of the Dark Signers. We got two new cards from there. We're gonna recap 2020 in Duel Links, going over notable things that happened each month in this crazy year. We also have the upcoming news as well, and we'll talk about all of the latest esports. So, let's see. So, episode 198 of the podcast. Last one this year. Next one will be in 2021. Next one will also probably be talking about the new box, which has not been announced, but it's been leaked everywhere. And considered the savior of XZs. We'll see about that. So, I hope everyone has had a good Christmas if they celebrate. And that was yesterday. So, in terms of myself, yeah, it's a continuation of my virtual slump, I guess. Last hit Kingdom Games with Kara Curry, that was last month. Was that the month before? Could have been the month before. But I had that streak with Witchcrafters and haven't really found anything I liked. I'm playing Noble Knights right now, but I suck with the deck so much. You could go in my last 10 games and see that most of the games are losses. So, really just doing the events, barely playing PvP. I'm in Legend 1. I don't really care anymore, frankly. I'm hitting Kingdom Games. Just playing this game until I find the deck that I really like. Noble Knights is just too much thinking for me, I think. And we'll see if the next box has anything I like. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's come down to this, where I'm at a point where I can't play a good deck, or anything I like. I think I just have to like the deck. Witchcrafters were a deck I liked a lot. Played it for the whole summer and got nerfed a lot, so yeah. Need to find a deck to play, find a reason to play, maybe. That's another motivation that I need. This week in esports, we're going to talk about two of them. Let's start off with the Duel Links with the Boys Christmas Cup. So they're a podcast. I've talked with some member in the past on a group podcast we had once with Rain and some other guys. Let's talk about that tournament. First place, Giorfio Destiny Draw Ritual Beasts. So this is the regular Winda deck. Winda has been used everywhere. Notably a staple and invoked now, but pure Ritual Beast deck. So what this is 3 Winda, 3 Canohawk, 1 Petalfin, 1 Rampengu, 2 Elders, 1 Apelio, 1 Lara. You got some Ritual Beast quick plays, 2 Ritual Beast Return, 1 Ritual Beast Bond, and then a lot of tech cards, 2 Sphere Karibo, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, and a Needle Ceiling. Second place, Mellow. This is a Cyber Style Amano Cyber Dragon. So, really, this deck has barely any Cyber Dragon cards. 1 Cyber Dragon and 3 cores. No Veers or anything. You've got 2 Amano Awado, which is the famous Amano Stun Lockdown card. 3 Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Fusion Gate, 3 Cyberload Fusion, 3 Cybernetic Fusion Support, 1 Econ, 1 Cybernetic Overflow. So, really, the minimum of Cyber Dragon cards amongsters, and it's just relying on the consistency of the spells and reusing the fusion that's banished for Fusion Gate. Top 4, Dirty Hippie. This is a spicy deck here. Balance, Ritual Beast, Neos, UA. So the core of this deck is UA, and it is a balanced format, so there's at least 6 spells and traps each, and then a bunch of monsters. Let's just get to different pieces, I guess, here. Ritual Beast, we have 3 Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda, and then nothing else except for the extra deck where you have two Ritual Beast Ulti Apelio and two Ulti Petalfin. I guess they're basically using the Winda again. There's three Winda in the deck, so you could use them as a context fusion for those pieces. Next part, Neos. So there's a little bit of a Neos package here. One Elemental Hero Neos and two Neos Fusion. That's it. We have the rest of it's UA. So then UA core here, three midfielder, one perfect ace, one rival rebounder, one mighty slugger, three UA stadiums, two penalty box. They also run Amaryllis as a ramp card into a UA normal summon, so the UA monsters are typically level 5 or 6, so then they could go into a normal summon. One Drowning Mirror Force, two Paleozoic Canadia, one Karma Cut. Very spicy deck here. Top 4, Gabrielle, 94, Master of Destiny, Desperado. Typical look for Desperado deck here. 3 Desperado Barrel Dragon, 2 Machina Fortress, 2 Twin Barrel, 1 Black Salvo for Synchro, 1 Temperance, 1 BM4 Black Spider, 1 Misjudge, 2 Cup of Ace, 1 Fiend Comedian, 1 Head Judging, 2 Karma Cuts, and 3 Super Team Buddy Force United. Got the Duel Links Meta Weekly 156. First place, Refresh, Balance, Noble Knights. So, full on 30 card deck here. You've got the expected Monster Core here. When you're typically running the best Noble Knight deck, you have this. 3 Madrot, 1 Dristan, 3 Merlin, 3 Boars, 1 Noble Knight Brothers, and 1 Gwen Hwai Far. And then spells, 3 Glory of the Noble Knights, 1 Arthur 2 Caliburn, 1 Galantin, 2 Noble Arms of Destiny. Traps, Divine Wrath, 3 Raigeki Break, 3 Karma Cut, 2 Until Noble Arms are needed again. Runs 2 Caliburn, and you're going to see a trend with multiple Caliburns as some decks are going to use Life Gain as a play. Second place, Mo Abdel, Level Reduction Black Wings. This is pretty much the core look you get for Black Wings now. They kind of make a play to make the level 7 a reduction, and then you Synchro Summon into Joe, Obsidian Hawk Joe, and then you bring back the Raikiri or Chidori. But Tornado, the Reverse Wind, is pretty much a piece in the deck after seeing no play before. I guess the nerfs that were in allowed this card to see play. It's cool. There's so many Black Wings, and you're always stuck with the same ones, and now we have a new one, which isn't a new card. It's from Blackstorm Rising. Top 4, TASM, Balanced Noble Knights, and this is kind of like a free-to-play version. Not a free-to-play version, but a cheap-to-play version. 3 Madrot, 1 Dristan, 2 Merlin, 2 Boars, 1 Brothers, and 1 Gwen Hwai Far. You also got 2 Solemn Scoldings in this deck. So this is the deck that makes play of the Caliburn. You have to pay 3,000 life points. So with Caliburn, you could pretty much gain 1,000 each turn if you have a Madrot out. So, yeah, using life gain as a cost. Top 4, Drizzles, Fire Reload, Invoked, Neos. Typical tier 1 deck right now. Trap composition is going to vary for these decks, but the Monster Core, 2 Alistair, 3 Winda, 1 Keeper of Dragon Magic, 3 Volcanic Shells, and 1 Elemental Hero Neos. Notably, the trap cards, we have 1 Dimensional Prison. That card was like a main back row way back when, but now it's back. That's interesting. And when you're playing, this version is not bad for budget, because you could use your Dream Tickets on the Keeper of Dragon Magic and then the Neos Fusion. There's only 1 each. Because the nerfs have gone this way, it's a little cheap to play. So the 2 Alistair, 1 Invocation, that's their limit 3. 1 Keeper of Dragon Magic, 1 Neos Fusion. So if you have those leftover Dream Tickets run, you didn't buy these cards, you can't go ahead and just use them for 1 of each here. Like a deck like this is really good. And it's good for the budget consideration too. Of course, then you have to spend like a UR ticket on Elemental Hero Brave Neos, I guess. Alright, so there's a huge change in the way Duel Links Meta does their tier lists. While they do have a traditional tier list again, there's a new system too. Let's just talk about the traditional tier list first. They have Desperado Barrel Dragon and Invoke Neos in Tier 1. Tier 2, we have Noble Knights and Witchcrafters. This is based off of Clan Wars as well, though. Tier 3, Black Wings, Blue Eyes, Invoked Roids, and Ritual Beasts. And they have demoted Cyber Dragons. But what Duel Links Meta has done is they have a whole new type of tier list, and these are called the power rankings. And I think I'm going to go to switch off on these from now on because they're more up to date and they count every single tournament and they also count King of Games. So they've developed an algorithm to group these. And I'm actually updating the notes right now because the scores have changed since I last looked at them. So basically, Tier 1, we have scores from 8 to 20. Every deck gets a numerical score. So this helps you look into the Tier 4 decks, so you call, and they're going to get grouped into Tier 3 too. So you got to take into consideration more decks. And that's always a good thing, I think. Right now, I'm just going to update the scores for these decks. Already, we see some fallers and risers here. It's a very dynamic list, one that I can't really plan ahead of time because tournaments are played between the time that I write these notes and whatnot. So bear with me as I make these changes. And Tier 3 is really crowded. But you do see a lot more decks that wouldn't be featured in a tournament or whatever. They won't win the top 4, but still pretty good. Some decks have completely fallen off the list too since I looked at this. Alright, so like I said before, Tier 1 is a score from 8 to 20, and we don't have a deck at 20 yet, nowhere near 20. Tier 2, we have scores between 5 and 8. And Tier 3, we have power levels from 2 to 5. So Tier 1, Desperados is top 13.4, Invoked Neos at 10.9, and Noble Knights at 10.1. So like I said, no one's near 20 at all. And Desperado seems to have a heavy lead in terms of power, and they haven't fallen off like I predicted. Tier 2, between 5 and 8, Blue Eyes at 7.8, 7.3, Black Wings at 6.8, Witchcrafters at 6. In Tier 3, a lot of fallers here since I've last looked at it, but 2 to 5, Cyber Dragon at 4.9, Ritual Beasts 3.9, Heroes 3.3, Thunder Dragons 3.2, Triamids 3.1, and Weather Painters clinging on at 2.5. So a very dynamic list, like I mentioned. It's going to be based off of the various tournaments, KC Cup's King of Games ladder, so it's going to change all the time. I think this is a huge innovation into looking at those lower tier decks that wouldn't be included in the Tier 3 cut in the normal tier list, and here they are. Like Weather Painters, I've really expected them to shoot up. They are Tier 3 in this new list, but it's good to keep your eye on those decks, Triamids, of course. And this helps you as a person who's just playing King of Games, not really playing the tournament scene, to keep an eye out on those decks as well. I'm surprised a deck like Luna Lights wouldn't be in this list, but I guess the King of Games representation isn't enough for them yet. Alright, so emergency nerf. We have one emergency nerf here, and this was announced just this morning. So the emergency nerf is on Badland Boxer Veil, which is not a huge surprise, given that deck just won out the last box. And because that was the winner of the last box, it makes you pretty much no point in buying that box anymore. But it's being put on Limited 3. And what this card did was it helped Control get too strong. And Konami has made clear that when control gets too strong, they're going to nerf it. And we saw that with the various burn decks and control skills. So what this does is, because a lot of control decks did just run 3 of these guys, they're not going to have access to like a Cosmic Cyclone or some other limited 3 card. Well, what this primarily hits at is Invoked Roid, for example. And if you're trying to make a Purgatrio play, you're going to need one of each, because Aleister and Invocation are both limit 3 cards. So with this Battleland Boxer Veil in the list, you're going to have to run one of each, and that really does hurt the consistency of Invoked Purgatrio seeing any play. But it could still work. I think it just hurts the consistency. It hurts the control that Battleland Boxer Veil provided at 3 copies. So right now it's going to be a slim package, and they're going to find other ways to play control outside of Battleland Boxer Veil. And yeah, so really this just hits at Invoked Roids. They also run the Ambulance, I forget what it's called, Roid Ambulance or whatever. That's also a fire type, so they could still run Purgatrio, sure, but the Veils have been shot down. It's not a huge surprise that this happened, given how good the Veil was when it came out of the box, and it was clear that was the winner of the box as an R rarity card. Alright, so in addition to Battleland Boxer Veil getting nerfed, we have some random skill changes. And some of these are buffs, some of them aren't exactly buffs, they're kind of mixed changes. The first one is to Time Passage, which is the main Fortune Lady skill, where you give one Fortune Lady monster 3 levels in a turn. This helps you do the Synchro Summon play. Different types of Synchro Summon, usually 7 or 8. And what this does is, it was limited to twice per duel, once per turn. Now there's no more limit. So you just do it once per turn. And you just do it forever. So this gives the deck more late game capability. Sometimes when you're Fortune Lady, you're kind of stuck at the end when you have no Time Passage to use, and you have to kind of hedge when you use Time Passage. Now you could just use Time Passage whenever you want, so as long as you still have a monster on the board or still have tuners. And this helps in a few ways. So when you have Fortune Lady out, it makes her become a 4,000 attack beat stick every single turn. She's not going to go over 12 levels, but sometimes having that attack, that 4,000 attack, is really good. And now you have her for every single turn at 4,000 attack. This also helps some of your monsters compete on the board, so Fortune Lady Water can become a 2100. Sometimes you have to clear something on the board, and you could clear them. It expands the amount of synchros you can play, so you could have some bigger synchro monsters, ramp into those in a turn without blinking an eye. So this is a huge buff to Fortune Ladies. I don't expect them to become the best deck ever, but they were a King of Games deck before. Like, you could hit King of Games with some struggles with Fortune Ladies. It's not the easiest deck to play to get King of Games. You're going to lose a lot of games, but this makes it a lot easier. Puts them right on the outside of the tier list now. All you basically need are like Forbidden Lances, and you're pretty much good with Fortune Ladies. Okay, Emergency Call. It's gotten better too. So back then, Emergency Call, you would just reveal an elemental hero in your hand. You need the same type and attribute, and then get a different one from the deck. You would tutor that card from the deck. Now you just need an elemental hero with a different name. So this kind of helps like Elemental Hero Neos, so that you don't have to run like a light warrior. They're all warriors, I guess, but like a light version in your deck. So you could kind of tutor Elemental Hero Neos with any elemental hero you have. So Heat and Neos kind of work in that Invoke deck. So there could be an Emergency Call invoked heroes. So that could be a play. They do add a turn 5 or later activation requirement, but you also have to have had lost 2,000 life points. So you can't lose 2,000 life points on your first turn that easily. So this this definitely helps the Neos with a different elemental hero like elemental hero Heat or Stratus. I've seen Stratus in some Invoke decks, so that could work as well. Alright, Yuma's skill Ready for Victory is a little more inclusive now. Back then, back then you would have two monsters, activate Ready for Victory, Xyz, and that Xyz monster gets 500 attack. Now it includes 3 material Xyz summons. So back then it would just be for 2. Now that they're introducing more Xyz, ones that required 3 monsters on the board, like the Illuminite, number 10 Illuminite we just got, that card will get a buff of 500 attack. So yeah, this doesn't change much, frankly. It should have been that way the whole time. But yeah, they fixed that mistake. And finally, Ultimate Earthbound Immortal. This is the skill. They had Immortal Earthbound Wiracocha Raska, and you reduce your opponent's life points to 1 and you skip your turn. And you kind of try to burn them the next turn. I guess that's how you win. Now that because there are more... This is a bit of a nerf. This one's like because there are more burn cards available everywhere in Duel Links. They're going to make it a turn 5 or later requirement. So it's not really like a one-turn kill that it was. And this is a good nerf because you can't have something busted like that. I guess you have more monsters that ramp now. It's easier to get a 3 tribute summon out than it was. And then at the same time, there are more burn cards available. So, I guess, though I never really saw this getting abused. Like, I can't say that this is justified. It's just preventing something that could be busted down the line. I think it's because there's a new card called Minor Goblin Official coming out in the new box, and that could easily combo with this card to win. So, that could be the reason why that they're doing this. But, it's a nerf to something that has not happened yet. That's the way I see it. So there you have it. Those are the emergency nerfs and skill changes. The nerf to Battle in the Box Reveal, as I note, is January 5th, and then the random skill changes, these 4 skill changes will be going live January 15th. So, takeaway, Fortune Ladies are going to get a big buff. They're going to be playable again. Emergency Call could be something for the Invoked Heroes deck. Ready for Victory, not really anything different. And then the Ultimate Earthbound Immortal change, not really anything different either. Alright, Duel Links Mission Research. This has been like a reskinning of the Carly's investigation research. And that was one of my favorite things. So now they retired Carly. They have this random Duel Links Mission Research. So yeah, it just encourages you to auto-duel and stuff and get stuff. We get 1 new card and another card we get a second copy of. New card is Curse of Darkness. Continuous Trap. Each time a spell is activated, the controller of that spell takes 500 points of damage. See, this is what I meant with the Ultimate Earthbound Immortal. They just have more cards that burn now. They burn at half, but more cards that burn. And this one's not useless, unlike a lot of them. 500 burn is decent now, and this will prevent a player from activating 8 spells in a game. So they cut them off at 7. You could kill yourself at the 8th, basically, with the Curse of Darkness. And yeah, I guess Cosmic Cyclone's around a lot, so they don't think this card's busted. It should hurt a deck like Noble Knights. Noble Knights, they do have Dristan, though, so they could get rid of it. But they activate a lot of spells. Cyber Dragons do activate some spells, but they also take advantage of life point loss. But this could leave them down at very little life points, I guess. This could be a tech card against a deck that runs a lot of spells. Like, let's say Spellbooks become good. Invoked runs fewer spells than ever now because they got nerfed. Yeah, this card's not useless at all. It definitely will be a tech card at some point to cut your opponent off when they're playing a big spell deck. huge advantage here. We're just left at one of them, though, so the consistency of this card is not great. It gets removed by Cosmic Cyclone, but then they're burning themselves 1,000 anyways, so this forces your opponent to lose life. I think it will see tech usage. These other cards we see, we've already gotten 3 copies of Magic Planter, Hydro Pressure Cannon, Lord Poison, but Amphibious Bugroth 3, MK3. This is the second copy we get ever, because the first one's from Mako Tsunami, and we never got another one. This is a level 4 machine, 1500, 1300. When Umi's face up on the field, it's going to attack directly. So basically, it's going to be losing 200 attack from Umi, and it's going to hit for 1300. That's it. This is not a great card anymore. Maybe it was busted when Mako came out, so they only gave us 1. Right now, we got like Super Heavy Samurai, which do it a lot better. They could kill you in 1 turn. This is not anything anymore. Alright. Duelist Chronicles 5Ds, Attack of the Darksigners. We got 2 new cards here. We're going to get a new skill as well, which I think will have to do with the Majestic Dragons. Let's get into it. Majestic Red Dragon, level 10, Dark Synchro, Dragon Synchro. Requires Majestic Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, and a non-tuner monster. 4,000 attack, 3,000 defense. Cannot be destroyed by card effects. After damage calculation, after this card attacks, destroy all defense monsters on the field. Once per turn, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects. If you do, this card gains attack equal to half that monster's attack. These changes last until the end of the turn. During the end phase, target 1 Red Dragon Archfiend in your graveyard, return this card from the field to the extra deck, special summon that target. This is the counterpart to the Majestic Star Dragon, which you can also get from this event. But basically what it is with these 2 monsters is it's impossible to summon them. They require a level 8 Synchro Summon, a new tuner again, a Majestic Dragon Tuner, which is a slow monster, and then a random level 1 non-tuner. So if you can get it all out, you'll probably win the game, assuming you controlled the back row, and then you could just win. But I've literally never seen these monsters on the board, so good luck summoning them, but I don't think they're going to ever see play. The Majestic Star Dragon came out April 28th, according to Duel Links Meta, so that was a whole 8 months I had never seen this card before. So, yep. The other new card we get is Stardust Xiaolong. It's level 1 Light Dragon, 100, 100. When you Synchro Summon Stardust Dragon, you can special summon this card from your graveyard and face-up attack. Once per turn, if this card will be destroyed by battle, it is not destroyed. Little sticky monster here, but this card only has one purpose only, and that is to get Majestic Star Dragon out. So, you basically use Xiaolong as a cost for the Synchro Summon of Stardust Dragon. You get your Majestic Dragon out, and then you could also get this guy out of the graveyard. So, yeah, it's just being that level 1 non-tuner for Majestic Star Dragon. If you're ever going to run that deck, Stardust Xiaolong becomes a playable card. If you're just running, like, Stardust Dragon as a level 8 generic Synchro monster, I don't think it sees any play because it's just like, it's not what the deck is based around. Unless we get more Stardust support down the line, this card won't see any play. It's just for this one specific strategy of getting the Majestic Star Dragon out. Alright, so it's 2020 in Duel Links. We're going to recap what I found to be the notable things this year. It's been a horrible year. No one can doubt that. Very tough year for everyone. This is just a soliloquy of my own, but I work in a hospital doing lung cancer research, and beside COVID, a lot of people have been affected by this. The lung cancer patients, I mean. There's a whole trickle-down effect with the people not going out. And mostly it's an emotional thing, not including the people who have died of COVID, who have lung cancer. The lung cancer survivors who have died of COVID, I mean. That's rephrasing that. People not seeing their doctors enough for checkups and getting their cancer come back, for example. Most people are just depressed um, with the disruption to their lives after being through all that, and then just being in the hospital itself, seeing the changes there. It's been a tough year, and also just in the world in general. A few bright moments, but it's been a very tough year. In Duel Links itself, some of that has been reflected here with the changes in the tournament scene that we saw. And yeah, let's go through 2020 in Duel Links. So January started. We got that new box. Super Heavy Samurai came out, and it's crazy. Super Heavy Samurai you still see in the ladder now and then. They still beat you now and then, but they came out in January, and also Selection Box Volume 3 came out. So that was when we first saw Fiendish Chain. So Fiendish Chain and Karma Cut, I think, were like exclusive to a selection box at that time. So um, that was what was notable about January 2020 in Duel Links. February, we saw some nerfs though. Sealed Tombs got nerfed. Probably never really came back since then. It's seen very little play since then. Grass Looks Greener was put on Limit 1, but that didn't really change much. Dark Lords were nerfed to Oblivion in February. That was so long ago, but they were nerfed. And Limit 3 became a category. So that was when Cosmic Cyclone, I believe, was the only Limit 3 card. At that point, they realized there was too much Cosmic Cyclone. There still is too much Cosmic Cyclone, but they put in Limit 3 just for that card at that point. March 2020, we saw the Lightsworn box come out. So all the Lightsworn cards that are relevant came out in that box. The Charge of the Light Brigade, Solar Recharge, all those cards. Judgment Force, that was the box. All those cards came out in March. And also Chaos Dragon Levineer was released in a Selection Box Mini, I believe. So that was the first time we saw those cards. April 2020 was just when COVID hit America really hard, I know. I think it was really bad in the world in general at that point. And that was when the WCS 2020 was canceled. So they had no plan at that point. They just canceled that event. And I noted it, I remember at the time, to be a very delayed response to COVID. And that was really the only notable thing that month. I think a lot of things were shut down. In America, they were shut down at that point. I'm not sure about Japan. Yeah. May 2020, KCGT was announced. So they announced the replacement for the WCS 2020. There was no plan about it yet, but they just announced it. Grit and No Immortal Can Resist were nerfed at this point. So if you remember those nerfs, they happened here. I guess everyone was running a Shizu at that point. And then there was a ban list that was ineffective, besides Thunder Dragon. So Thunder Dragon stopped seeing play in May when that ban list hit, and then everything else was ineffective. June, we saw Witch's Sorcery. So the Witch's Sorcery box came out, and Witchcrafters came in that month. And I believe it was like in the middle of the month, and I hit King of Games like a week after it happened. So Witchcrafters came out. They were pretty busted at this point, and they were left unchecked. There was like a burn version of the deck too, so I think it was the Type 0 Magic Crusher version of Witchcrafters was around at this point. July 2020, KCGT main tournament announcement. So it took place this month, so the first preliminary round and then like the round 1 took place in July. And then another ban list that was ineffective was also released in July 2020. August 2020, Lightsworn and Witchcrafters were nerfed, so this was a huge nerf where they were all put on Limit 3 or whatever. Some cards were limited to as well, but there's a huge Lightsworn Witchcrafter nerf at this point. KCGT ends with Zade King winning it all. Just to note as well for myself, I hit King of Games every month in June, July, and August with Witchcrafters. Different deck, different skill. That was big for me as a duelist, I guess. September, Karakuri, Karma Cut, and Lava Golem were all nerfed. So wait, that's a wrong thing. Karakuri were released with the new version of Kunamzan. That version came out in a box. Karma Cut was released to everyone, and Lava Golem and all the burn cards were nerfed or announced to be nerfed. October 2020, we saw the release of Zexal World. That could have been late September, I don't know, but October, we see the release of Zexal World, all the Xyz monsters. Grass and Cyberstein were put on the forbidden list. Widespread nerfs were here. Switcheroo, Show of Nightmares, Shadow Game were hit hard here. So a lot of skills pretty much disappeared at this point, or they saw their mainstream play go away completely at this point, and there were also various nerfs to different decks. November, we have the KC Cup with cheating allegations. So I think Grucius still got first place, but the second place player was fully docked for cheating to raise awareness. So that was like a known where they called out themselves for cheating. And finally, this month, in December 2020, we see Invoked, Karakuri, Dark Magician, Shiranui, and Crystron get nerfs again. So previously, those nerfs, there's a ban list in May, that's 1. Ban list in July, that was 2. And then October. So there were pretty much 3 nerfs where they couldn't take out Shiranui. That's crazy, right? It took them a whole year of nerfing Shiranui, and they finally hit them in December. Crystrons are still around. Karakuri got nerfed for good here. Dark Magician, you don't really see much anymore. Invoked is still around. So, half effective nerfs there. And then the Noble Knights box was released this month. And there could still be more. So, that was 2020 in Duel Links, I think. Not much to say. I mean, the game's still going steady. People are still playing the game, though. There's nothing too exciting, I think. XZ still has to take the next step. They're not going to release a new world in quite a bit of time, since we just got Zexal World released. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing how they keep going. I think it's hard to say that Konami is going to keep... They're not going to put much into this game. Like, they're not going to go out of their way to make this game known. They're going on the 4th year anniversary soon, and there's been no huge push in this game. It's steady. People are still playing it. I think that's all they could ask for. Kind of like this. That's kind of like the mantra of the game. It's kind of weird. We're steady, but we're not popular. We're not like hugely popular. It's kind of like the way I do this podcast. I guess I'm embodying Konami. It's minimal effort, and let's keep going. All right, we got upcoming news for January. It's a lot of news. 4th year anniversary of Duel Links. There's going to be a new week and end of week campaign. Early January, we have a new card, Flying Elephant, and this is the notable card that Pegasus used to humiliate Bandit Keith, but the card actually is an auto-win card with a limited condition. Finally get our hands on that card. Early January, Shark Attack, a second chance to unlock Reginald, Shark Castle, and then a new skill called Fully Armored XZ's Black Ray. Early January, Yugi Moto gets retired to the gate. No more, damn, I don't even remember what that event was called. Some DSOD event. Tour Guide Bingo in early January, a new card called Crane. Mid-January, the 4th anniversary campaign, again. Mid-January, Raid Duel Dimensional Disaster Indoor Doom Volt. New card Cubic Ascension. New card Gundari. Mid-January, Tag Duel Tournament, new card Red Eyes Darkness Dragon. And Neos Force. That's relevant. 2 archetypes. Duel Quest, new card Stealth Bird. Late January, obtain Kite Tenjo, so that's cool. A new duelist there. Late January, Mission Circuit with a new card Linear Acceleration Cannon. And then mid-January, an update to improve the duel screen. The scroll of the duel log will stop when you select the selected log during duels. All right, that is it. That's a wrap on 2020. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening and keeping up with me this year. It hasn't been an easy year for me. I've been dealing with a lot of things on my own. I guess dealing with the will to continue, I guess, to put it lightly. But still doing this podcast. Happy for everyone who listens, who gets anything out of it. My own effort into things is a bit lacking, I must say, but it's the way it has to be until I get more inspiration, I guess, into the game. And yeah, I'll keep playing, keep doing this podcast so as long as I can. Yeah, thanks to everyone. Hoping for a new year, better year in 2021, one that will lift up everyone instead of this year we had. So thanks for listening. Search the podcast anywhere you hear podcasts. Search the Dual Assessment, you'll find it. It's everywhere. These notes are on the dualassessment.wordpress.com. Email me at thedualassessment@gmail.com. Find me on Twitter, dual_assessment, my own account at Green Ranger CCG. All right. Have a healthy and happy new year. Stay safe from COVID. We'll get our vaccine soon. Things are looking up, all right? Take care, everyone.